Well, it's after 6 o'clock here, so Elaine, I guess we could go ahead and get this thing off the ground if you want
Yeah,
to.
let's do
I'm
it, Robbie.
gonna everybody. I don't know if you. Of course, everybody knows Elaine from the forum, but now you've put a face with a name, and this was her idea, and I think it was a fantastic idea. And Zoom has made this possible
Yes.
for us, so I'm really looking forward to this. And a lot of you that are here in the group this evening have put your name in the hat to be candidates to make this happen. Here, we're going to do what, one a month, Elaine, I think?
Yep, that's it.
All
Second
right.
month.
Well, good. Let me just make a quick announcement for those that aren't aware. I'm going to be doing a live stream again this coming Sunday, December 20th at 3 p.m. And it's going to be a marketing Q&A live stream with Drew Boyd. Drew Boyd and I did the marketing online course here a year or two ago, and he was in my shop this week, and we discussed putting together a little Q&A and thought that was going to be a fantastic idea. And he really knows his stuff, so I think you're going to look forward to that. Let's see, Gary just showed up. Let's see if we can admit him. There he is. Gary, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Wow, fantastic. Welcome to the group here.
Thanks very much. Took me a minute to figure out how to get here.
That's all right. You didn't miss anything except for the secret for building a great guitar. I just told everybody all the secrets. So you'll have to watch the replay for that.
I hate when that happens.
I was just telling everybody that Elaine is the brain behind all of this. It was her idea, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. So I went out and got myself a Zoom subscription, and I'm going to turn it over to her, and we're going to learn all about Chris's guitars.
All right. So,
oh, hang on, just one more thing, Elaine. If you have any questions throughout this, try and put them in the little group chat box there. There's not very many of us on here, but if we had 50 people, this could get chaotic in a hurry. So we're going to try and just, if you have a quick question, put it in the chat box there, and I'm going to run the chat box here for Elaine and feed her the questions because I think she has hers turned off. So if you got any questions, let's just try it that way and see if it works. And then at the end, if we're not very many people here, so if we need to, we can open up everybody's mics or something. So yep. I'm just gonna let's see. How do I mute everybody's mics here?
Well, unless they're noisy, just let them like they are, Robbie.
All right. Oh, I see. I got to mute. I got to mute all. So if you guys don't behave, I'm going to push that button.
Yep. All right.
Take it away, Elaine.
All right. So I have to tell you, I think I'm lonesome from being locked up since March, and so there's always somebody on the forum showing an instrument, and I really would like to talk to them about that instrument. I'm still hunting for whoever it is made those guitars out of steel and roofing looking stuff. So we'll need to get them up here someday. But I've just been interested in the materials people use, where they got them, how they do it, what they were thinking, how long they've been building. And so I thought, man, this might be a great way with us all shut down and take advantage of it to build some relationships and connect and make some friends. And so I have to tell you that, so I asked Robbie about it, and he thought it was a pretty good idea, and we thought we'd give it a try. And so my short list was, I'll tell you, it was Greg Maxwell and Chris Baer. And Greg, because I've actually been to his shop and he's helped me a lot with repairing a bunch of old guitars I had out of my family. But Chris had the misfortune of being in the same Trevor Gores class as I was last summer, a year ago. And he was nicer to me than anybody else. And so I got his name and email. And so I thought, man, I bet I can just put the squeeze on him and a little push with Robbie, and we can get him to go first. And so here we are. And so the truth of the matter is, Chris has helped me a lot, and he builds beautiful guitars, and I'm quite interested in what he's been doing. So with that, hey Chris, I'm going to let you sort of take over here, and I'm interested in some questions. Just I think I think you're in Colorado, and we'll leave it at that. But what got you building, and how long you've been building? Tell us some about how you got started, and then we'll jump into the guitars you want to showcase.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm in Colorado. I'm actually far north of Denver. Robbie's far south of Denver, but we're not too far apart. I built my first guitar maybe 4 years ago from some secondhand Stu Mac DVDs, and it's the worst guitar that you've ever seen or heard in your life. I stripped it for parts maybe a year ago, so that didn't work out so well. But I've been building furniture for a really long time, and and I play guitar a little bit, not very well, but a little bit. So I really wanted to combine those two things. So started looking around for where I might be able to build some guitars. I looked at Red Rocks College, but they had abandoned their Luthier program, and but through that I found out that Robbie used to run that program. So I looked up Robbie's website, and the second guitar I built was through one of Robbie's online classes, and then the third guitar I built was at Robbie's shop. And then from there, I met, Trevor Gore, took a couple of classes with Trevor. And then, so I've been doing falcate guitars kind of ever since. I guess I'm probably on my 10th falcate guitar, I think, at this point. So,
wow, that many already, huh?
yeah. So I built maybe 3 from Trevor's plans. And then I built two of these you'll see tonight. I built 5 kind of offset guitars from my own design. And then the other one you'll see tonight was one that I just designed. This little smaller, kind of an OM sized guitar. So
Wow.
yeah, all falcate brakes.
It's impressive.
Yeah, so we'll talk about what's unique about your designs and what drove you to do those things when we get to the guitars. So with that, let's move on to the guitars and hear what these things sound like. So let me share a screen and get up a little presentation that shows us some pictures. Chris is going to talk about 3 guitars tonight, and the video is actually, we'll just call this one A. And this one, let me get a little better color here. This one's B. Those are the 2 we'll be listening to. But Chris, you want to just give a 5,000 foot overview and the differences and what we ought to be listening to?
Sure. So the first 2 guitars on the screen are the offset model that I had originally made doing falcate guitars. It's a little big. They are pretty deep guitars. So generally speaking, kind of lower toned guitars. And then the last one is that the OM style guitar that I just designed, and that's a little higher tuned than the other 2. So let's see. The first one is a oak guitar. The second one's a mahogany guitar. The third one is a rosewood guitar. So the video that we're about to watch, it's a little bit long, but bear with it. It just turned out into something really amazing. I was looking for somebody to play some of my guitars.
So, hang on, Chris. I'm going to start that video up. But one of the things, folks, is guitar A. The way the video is going to show 2 guitars.
Yep.
Tell the difference in them. I'm still having trouble with my colors. You can tell the difference in them by the rosettes. That'd be the easiest way. And also, the rosewood has the light colored headstock on it. So with that, Chris, let me get the video going and tell us about this video.
Sure. So I was looking for somebody to record some guitars of mine, and I originally reached out to an old guitar teacher, and he couldn't do it, but he had a student that he said that I could work with. And this guy, funny guy, I zoomed with him. We talked for a while. Huge metal head. You can see his picture there. He's got the long hair. He's got a bunch of tattoos. He does strongman competitions, so he's just this massive beast of a man, and he has done just such an amazing job here. So what he did is he took my 2 guitars and he did a duet with himself. So you'll see as the video goes, the guitars switch back and forth for the different parts that he's playing. So with the rosewood OM, he's doing mostly higher notes and kind of fiddly stuff. And with the mahogany offset, he's doing more of the lower notes and whatnot. But it really turned out well. It's he's recording those straight into a mic. I think he's got like a room reverb on it, but that's about it. But so yeah, if you just give a listen, if you've got some speakers, I would turn them up because it's pretty amazing.
Yep. So if the quality's bad, let me know. We'll start it. We've had to learn some buffering issues. Here we go.
Wow.
Wow. So let me go back to the guitars. You can tell us about them, but if y'all want to talk about that video a little bit, that was really great.
Yeah, it was really an amazing thing, or just a great coincidence that we got to meet up, and it's an original song that he made, and he just really put everything into it. And so I'm excited that that'll go on my website eventually, and just be used to showcase the sounds of my guitars. There's no way that me playing that I couldn't have drawn that kind of music out of either of those guitars. So it was really nice to work with somebody like that to end up with that kind of an end result. So yeah, it was really happy that that worked out that way.
You could tell he was happy. Every now and then that big old face of his would start to break a grin. So he was having a good time.
Yeah. I recognize him. I beat him in a strongman competition once.
Yeah.
Strongman or stairman?
All right.
That was really amazing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. You set the bar pretty high on videos.
No, I beat him at a hair growing contest.
Since there's only a few of us, is it okay if we just ask questions rather than type them in?
Yeah, I think so, Greg. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. It seems to be working. I was expecting 50 people or whatever, but it didn't turn out that way. So that's even better for us. So yeah, let's just go ahead and keep our mics open here. If you have a question, go for it.
Yeah. So Chris, I see that you have a sound system installed in the guitar. There's a little mic in the sound hole.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. Did you blend the signal from that with the exterior mic to get that recording?
No, he didn't. He never used the inputs. That's all just recorded straight acoustically from a couple of different mics. So that's actually not amplified at all.
Wow,
that's impressive.
Yeah. I meant to ask him what kind of mics that he used. I haven't been able to get a hold of him in a couple of days. But the recording quality is really amazing.
Yeah, very good. You can't pay for an endorsement like that. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, at the risk of sounding like an amateur, what do you mean by an offset guitar?
When I went to design my first guitar, I thought I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something cool. I'm going to go kind of the extra yard. And so it's not symmetrical. It's an asymmetrical guitar. You can kind of see it in the photos. The photos aren't straight on, so it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of see how the upper bout is, or the lower bout on the top side is farther in than the lower bout on the bottom side. So it's just a little offset. It looks kind of like a Jaguar guitar a little bit, the electric. It's got the little kind of the funky offset going there. I think ultimately it's more trouble than it's worth. It makes it pretty difficult to do things like the tail block and to get the end jack in correctly, because it's kind of an angle there when you put it on. So that's another reason why I designed that OM model, is to just go back to just a symmetrical guitar, because all the jigs are different. Like each half of the guitar has to be built completely separately and all that kind of jazz. So that's what I mean.
So X and Y are different for one thing, and you can kind of see, I think, that this is a different shape than that. Is that right, Chris?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Is the waist diagonal a little bit? Is it off axis? Yeah. That's cool. Well, what's the body depth?
Is that more of a design thing, or do you get different tonality on that? Or
I don't know that it made that much of a difference in the tone. It seemed to be fairly normal when it comes to, like, the frequency response charts seem to be fairly normal. I don't think that it made a ton of difference. And like I said, it was kind of a pain to deal with. So not something I would necessarily recommend.
Chris, you said
for Elaine.
Go ahead, Steve.
My question is for Elaine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you expecting us to all go out and get somebody to play our guitars like that and videotape it?
Well,
If so, I'm out. I can't do that.
Well, the bar is set.
oh, I'm not. In fact,
That was pretty cool, Chris.
yeah,
Very
that,
nice.
that was pretty cool. But it's interesting how he got that done. You know, found somebody that for a music teacher, correct? Or music school. And and they found somebody, but no, I'm not, because that's not necessary. So, but Chris has set the bar high, but no, that's not what it takes to show these off. And these conversations are great, whether we have that good a video or not. So that's a good question, though.
Was that, Chris, was that a falcate brace guitar or a normally aspirated Martin X brace?
These are all falcate braced.
Okay.
What's the
What
body
is
depth?
So, Chris, tell us about the first one, the white oak offset.
Elaine, somebody wanted to ask a question there. I think a couple of people were being too courteous there. You got to speak up and just overtalk the other person, I guess. Who was it that had the question?
I want to know what the body depth is, and is it uniform, the length of the body, or is it tapered from butt to neck?
It is tapered, from butt to neck. I don't remember. These are, like I said, the offset ones were pretty deep.
Like,
I'm sorry. I would have to get the guitar
inches?
out and measure.
Because it sounds great, and you get that from that deep body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also had a question. I've implemented a lot of Trevor Gores stuff into my builds, but I've never messed around with falcate bracing. Is the primary theory behind that just for lightness? Is it lighter than an X brace guitar?
Yeah, Trevor is hoping to make stiffer, lighter tops. So the falcate bracing. Yeah, thanks, Elaine. So that's with the sandwiched carbon fiber brace threads with spruce bracing in between. So those braces are really short. I guess that would be the word. They're like 7 millimeters tall and 5 millimeters wide. So those are very, very small braces. They're all tapered down to nothing. So the carbon fiber and the epoxy add stiffness, and to be able to do a laminated spruce brace like that makes it light. So Trevor wants to be able to make the top lighter and thinner too. So but with the same kind of strength. So that's the hope. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your thickness on the top?
On that one, I have it written down here. That one actually is not that thin. It is at 2.46 millimeters was the target. So it's somewhere around there, 2.4 millimeters thick.
Chris, all three of these have live backs?
They do, yes.
Yeah. So this is kind of fun. We've jumped right to construction. I sort of thought we'd get to that quick.
Question for you, Chris. The falcate stuff, I've never really studied it or gone any further than seeing what Robbie's done with that. Is the goal to have repeatability, or is the goal to have more noise, more music, louder out of the same guitar? What's the real goal?
Sorry, was that you, Robbie?
No, it wasn't me. I was Steve.
Okay.
Steve.
I said, what's the real goal? What's the goal of the design like that?
Yeah, I think it's both of those things, and not just loudness, but responsiveness. So that as you play the strings, it's very quick. There's a lot of undertones. There's a lot going on, and it's pretty even across the strings. The repeatability part comes in when you're doing the frequency analysis, and it does help, especially a builder like me. I've only been doing this for 4 years. So with Robbie can pick up a top and tap it and put braces on it and shave it and tap it and whatever, and know exactly what he's trying to hit. Using the frequency response charts, I can kind of mimic the same thing, being able to say, okay, the Helmholtz, the air resonance is here and the top resonance is here. And in my other guitar that I really liked, it was here, and I know how to shift it a little bit to try to get it, sort of in the same realm as a guitar that I like or guitar that I've built, so that I can try to build them more alike, right? So between one guitar and another, regardless of the type of woods used, to try to get it into the same ballpark and frequencies and sounds. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. It was just curiosity more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've not tried that methodology, but I've been thinking about it. I'm thinking about more carefully measuring, and how do you measure? What do you measure? What's valuable? What's just fluff? Because in any system, I mean, Trevor's an engineer. He thinks like that. Not everybody has all those details they can hold between their ears all the time. And so, if we measure something, what are the most valuable things to measure, and what's extra?
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of the questions floating around in my head about that system.
Sure.
And not just the falcate bracing, but just the system of measurements that he has perfected.
Yeah. Later on, after each one of these, I have a frequency chart, and we can take a look at it and talk about it a little bit if you like.
It would be nothing to me.
Okay.
I'm uneducated, so it wouldn't have no meaning to me, really. I'd be happy to look at them and nod my head like I knew what I was talking about. But
I can try to make some sense.
Rich is on board here. He could tell you about them.
Okay.
Oh, that's not fair. I'm a spectator.
I want to talk about your three guitars, because you've got a few slides on each one. So, other than the different woods and the names, what do you think are the real differences between these three? Differences of note, or is there anything to talk about there?
Yeah, like I said, at the end of each of these guitars, there's a frequency chart. Maybe we can talk about that there.
Okay, that'd be good. Let's talk about the first one. So,
Yep.
spruce, oak, mahogany, holly, various woods. I'm really curious why you chose oak.
Good question.
I had never used oak before, and I just I can't remember. Allied Lutherie, I think, had some oak. Yeah, if you can zoom in on that back, that's
Wow.
probably why I decided to use that.
That's
that
impressive.
oak.
That's impressive.
I don't
Very
think
nice.
I've ever seen white oak quite that figured. It's so I thought I would give it a shot. I like to work with native woods if I can. So I thought I would give white oak a shot. It's super dense, so I had a really hard time getting good kind of frequency responses from it. So it's was kind of a crapshoot, for how thick to make it in the end, and what to do with it. But it bent really well. It's white oak is a good bending wood. I bent white oak for furniture before, so I knew it would bend well. It's really rigid, so once you bend it, that's where it stays. I kind of overbent the cutaway, and it just was really hard to muscle that thing into place. When I went to glue it up. So, but it was a good wood to work with. Very hard, very dense.
That's been my experience too with white oak. Everything you said. Now, I was introduced to white oak by a fellow in Minneapolis who he doesn't build anymore, but he built a lot of stuff with Brazilian. And then he was interested in domestic woods, and his opinion was that white oak was very similar to the feel and the just the wood itself of Brazilian. He compared them very favorably to each other. But that's him. That's just his opinion. I'm not. I do have a set of Brazilian, but I'll probably build with it another 20 years. I know what I'm doing. But I liked it. I liked white oak. It was pretty nice. It's heavy, but it's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris, what is your purfling here on the keyboard? Your little detail.
I think that's just some shell,
Okay.
maybe PAL shell.
All right.
I can't remember if that's PAL or it's like gold mother of pearl. I
Is it
don't
the
remember.
Zip Flex, or did you cut it yourself?
I cut it myself because it's so it was just straight.
Right.
It was super easy to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Try the next one. So here's the headstock. Well, let's keep talking about there's another detail of your purfling binding.
So what kind of finish did you use, Chris?
I think this one is the first one that I in a while that I just sprayed with lacquer.
Yeah.
So I do have some spray equipment. I was doing it down in in a room in my basement for a while, and that's just not healthy and not good for the house. So
Or very
so I
safe.
have to, yeah, I have to do it outside, kind of in a tent.
Yeah.
But yeah, this actually came out really well. I had gone up to Michael Bashkin's shop with some older guitars, and he said that one big thing to work on is the finishing. It's just the finishing wasn't up to snuff.
Yep.
And so I decided to kind of invest in some spray equipment to spray lacquer on this one. It came out really well.
Oh, good for you.
Had a couple of inlay designs. I've got a stepbrother-in-law, I guess, that's a designer. And so I had him design two different logos for me. And so that's the first one of those, the Baer guitar logos.
Really cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Thanks.
A nice end wedge.
Yeah,
that came out really well. I was really happy with it. Yeah.
Beautiful. So this is I guess, back.
Yep, that's a little piece of holly there. I really I've got a little stash of holly back from furniture days, and I've been getting it out for the back of the peg heads. It just really looks nice. I think the next guitar has a holly binding. Looks really good. Yeah.
That's
It's a pretty wood.
Will holly stay fairly white?
It looks almost like bone when you finish it. It's really nice. But yeah, I think over time it's pretty color fast. So this is the frequency response chart there. And I don't know if you want to get in the numbers down at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see. But you've got a couple of peaks there. The first peak is the air resonance. So that's the air inside the guitar coming out of the sound hole. And that's at about 101 hertz. The top resonance is at about 80 or 180. And then the back resonance is down a little lower, around 2. I can't read it because it's behind.
It's 230.
230 is what it says.
230. Yeah. And so let's see if I had the targets on this one. Yeah, so I was shooting for a little lower tuned guitar than actually this ended up being. I don't think I thinned the edges of the top quite enough, so I didn't drop the main air resonance down. I was hoping to hit about 90, and then the top resonance I was going to go for 170, and then do the back resonance to match. But unfortunately, it's really hard to move that air resonance number once you kind of have that all baked in. If you haven't thinned the top, if you haven't done that. It's hard to move it. It's easy to move the top resonance because you can add weight to the sides in Trevor's builds, but the main air resonance is pretty stable. So I had to kind of let the top be a little higher than I was going to do, and then also let the back be a little higher than I intended.
How do you approach that going into it from the top before you get the top put on? If you're shooting for a 90 and you hit 100, so you're 10% over. What procedure do you use to try to hit your target, knowing that you really got one shot at it before once you glue it on?
One of the things that Trevor recommends to shift that is to thin the top out. So if you thin, you take just a block plane and kind of shave around the edges.
Yeah.
You can thin the top, and that makes it a little bit more responsive to further kind of manipulation later on. So if you start to thin the top around the edges, you will start to see that main air resonance drop.
But how do you gauge that as you're doing it? You're not going to know what that resonance is until you got the guitar put together, right?
So yeah, once I have the box all or the top glued on before you put the binding on, I do some tapping to see where it is at that point. You know that it's going to lower a little bit down the line when you add a bridge, and when you add the neck on, kind of makes the whole guitar a little heavier. So if you tap it and it's at 105 or something like that, you can start to shave down the edge, and then you can tap it again, and you'll see it lower. So you can't shift it too much, though. So I think that what you have to do is sort of adjust your equations going into it, and say, all right, there are some numbers in Trevor's spreadsheets that you plug in that are kind of like preference numbers. So I think in future I'm going to change those numbers a little bit and see if I can kind of bring that air resonance down naturally to start. So I have a closer starting point, if that makes sense.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with, I'm really interested in the method because it's so, it's such a different approach to building, and you seem to end up in, everybody kind of gets to where they want to be depending on what the preference is. What did you build? I missed it early on. Did you say that you built a couple of just standard, Martin type brace guitars, and then you switched over to falcate and the Gore method? And what precipitated that switch? And
the thing that I really like about Trevor's method is exactly this kind of frequency response chart, where you can look and see, where am I, right, in relation to the target that I wanted to hit when I started building the guitar. So again, being a really novice builder, this kind of allowed me to, take a real look at the actual frequency response of each guitar, and to be able to manipulate it a little bit after the fact to try to hit the targets that I'm trying to hit. So that's what attracted me to it. With a X brace guitar, you can do, you can shape braces and that kind of stuff too. But falcate brace guitar is much more responsive to those, to like adding side weights or shaving the top, whatever, because it's so lightly built that anything you do to it can shift the frequencies fairly easily, other than the air resonance, which is kind of an issue. But
question for you, Chris. So you talked about target numbers. That's not the right word, but that's the gist of it. So how do you know which numbers give you the sound that Chris wants?
Yeah, that part of it is just going to be experience. Trevor has like kind of a set of 3 or 4, sets of numbers that he likes, So I've been, for the most part, kind of working to try to get in those
so
areas, and then
you're just trying to replicate first, and then you'll take off and say, I want my guitars this way a little bit, and then you'll know how.
Yeah,
you'll know which direction to take it.
And it's interesting in Trevor's books, he's got some sections about, it seems to him, he's listened to hundreds, probably thousands of guitars, where he says, it seems to me that adjusting the frequencies in this range, give you more bass. This range, you get more kind of throat, he calls it. This range, you get more, of the pitchiness and that kind of thing. So he does give you some kind of ideas in general, where to look to adjust the sound of your guitar. So I'm working towards that. This is all a work in progress for sure. But, I like the sound of these guitars. I think they sound really good, and they're very interesting.
All right, Chris, tell us about the mahogany offset.
Yeah, so it's a lot like the oak guitar, just different materials. I think in the end the frequency response was different, but it's the same kind of model. zoom in on that back, that's just, I really love that plum pudding mahogany. It's just so pretty. The color is nice, the figure is nice, and I thought that just the plain holly binding really set it off.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy with the way this one came out. It's definitely the best sounding guitar that I've made to date.
So why do you say that? What are the qualities you hear in it?
I just, I really thought this was a really full sounding guitar. It's got a lot of range to it, across all the strings. It just is, it's really responsive when you're trying for, a particular sound. You kind of have all of the sounds available to you as a guitarist. Now, I'm not a good enough guitarist to really bring that out. But, like if you heard what Jared did with it, earlier, I think a really good guitarist can bring out all of the sounds out of guitar, as opposed to sometimes X-Brace guitars can sound a specific way, like scooped mids or something like that, or there are parts of the bracing that are stiffer in some areas and not in other areas, and that affects how the guitar sounds. I feel like a falcate brace guitar kind of releases some of those limits on a guitarist and allows you really to to kind of pull out the most out of the instrument. So and this guitar I thought really was the best that I've done to date.
Look at some more shots of it up close.
Is that one also lacquer, Chris?
Yes, yeah, you can see a couple of scrapes there, here and there. Still working on the finishing.
Yep.
That looks good in the pictures.
Yeah, it's a compensated nut and your other alternative design for your logo.
Yeah, so that's a BG for Baer guitars.
Nice.
So, Chris, are you interested in selling these commercially?
I hope to. Yeah, this forum was great to just kind of give me a little kick in the pants to get these photos taken and get the recordings made and whatnot. I'm starting to work on the website, so eventually, yeah, I have felt up to this point that each of my guitars has had kind of serious flaws, so I didn't feel really comfortable thinking about selling them. But I feel like I'm getting to the point where I may be able to feel comfortable letting them out in the wild.
I don't know what I heard on the video. That's pretty great sounding guitar. I don't think anybody'd be unhappy with that. And the guy playing it knew what he was doing, so it's obviously an instrument that's got range and ability to it.
Thank you. Yeah. So this one is where did I end up on this one? The top resonance was about 93, so I kind of overshot the other way. I was targeting 95. And then since that oak guitar, I was too high and I didn't, sort of thin the sides enough. I think I went a little overboard on this one. So it ended up being a little lower than I intended. And that, I think, dragged the top resonance lower also. I had intended 180 and it ended up, 174? Is that right? Something like that. And then the back resonance is a little lower than I intended as well. But pretty close and still sounded pretty good.
Don't you think that's the reason you like this guitar the best, because it has more bass?
That may well be. Yeah, sure. That certainly may be part of it. Yeah. And it has a nice high end too. It's got a good balance to it, but the lower sounding guitar may be where I go in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a lot of stuff going on in the middle. But when you compared those three graphs before, this was the more bass of all three of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think and it has a mellow sound to it. And I don't know if the mahogany has anything to do with that or not. You were comparing the woods with the graphs. I don't know if that makes much difference or not, although the mahogany is a little softer than the other two.
Trevor would like to say that, with the calculations that you make and with the frequency tapping that you do before you build, you should be able to recreate these frequency charts more or less with any combination of woods. That's one of his kind of big, beliefs, that, it doesn't matter if it's an oak guitar or a mahogany guitar, you should be able to tweak the thicknesses and the bracing to get them to sound, roughly the same.
So he's not a believer in Forrest Gump.
How's that, Forrest Gump?
Oh, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Forever. So here's the Baer OM with Rosewood. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I wanted to design something that was a little smaller, a little less deep. I had some people complain that my other guitars were a little big for them. Certainly, they complained about the necks. I've made the necks much smaller on my last several guitars. I've got really big hands, and my best friend, who's a guitarist, also has really big hands. So all the guitars I had been making seemed great to me and seemed great to him. But as soon as I had any normal human-sized person playing the guitar, they were like, I can't play this thing. It's just massive.
Now,
right?
small, is that width or just, depth of neck and pure, thickness?
It was both in this case. Yeah, they were too wide and they were also too thick. So I got some templates from I think it's a 1930s Martin, and that's what I've been using on these last few necks, and they're real nice. They're real thin. They play really well. So this one's a real nice old piece of rosewood. If you zoom in on that back, I just really think I really love the look of that.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Right. It's a nice old piece of rosewood, and just some tiger striped maple for the binding is all. It's real simple.
Okay, these are guitars. So you obviously must play them a fair amount. You've got to be noticing some differences in them that jump out at you that may not necessarily be attributable to all the frequency response stuff. Or is that a fair statement?
You would hope, but I really am not a great guitar player. I'm just like open chords, little solos here and there. So it's a little hard for me to draw out the best of these instruments. And I recognize it's an issue. I mean, I probably need to sit down and learn some, at least one or two finger picking songs really well, so that I can make a better comparison between these guitars.
Oh, you can see your carbon fiber in your bridge.
Yeah, so that is like a Claro walnut carbon fiber reinforced bridge. Mm-hmm. Trevor is big on using lighter bridge woods, because he wants that top as light as possible. But with some of those woods, they're not quite strong enough to stand up as a bridge. So he likes the carbon fiber reinforcement.
How is carbon fiber to work with your tools, like a chisel or whatever?
I'm trying to think with the carbon fiber. Mostly, I'm using sand. I'm using my what's the sander called? The
spindle.
Yes, that's the one. Thank you. So I'm using a spindle sander on this. So it's pretty rare that I am using edged tools on the carbon fiber. I will tell you that a carbon fiber bridge will set off your saw stop. So
find that out the hard way.
Yeah,
you tested that theory.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was a $200 mistake. So yeah,
that should have come in the manual, huh?
Yeah.
Right, you would think.
Well, it won't have any effect on the one I have.
Was that right? The regular table saw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just power on through and dull the blade.
Right. Yeah. It's real thin, so I think that you're not cutting a whole lot. So I think overall it probably has minimal effect. This is my first offset rosette. I was really excited about that. That was fun. It's just real simple. It's spruce wedges, and then this little blue line of purfling there.
That's beautiful.
Chris,
Yeah,
I have
but-
about 3 of those asymmetrical rosettes out in the world, and that's because I forgot to tighten the circle cutting knob.
Sure.
So was this planned, or did you just forget to tighten it?
That one was actually planned that way. Yes.
I'll bet, Robbie, I'll bet yours, with that methodology, I'll bet yours were a little bit more wild than Chris's.
No, they look very similar to that one.
So this one was actually pretty interesting. You know, it did end up being a lot higher than the other ones, which was, I was aiming for that. I wanted to be able to build a couple of different models, one that was kind of tuned lower and one that was tuned a little higher. And so this is, you know, on the higher end of the spectrum here. 107 for the air resonance, 181 for the top resonance. The interesting thing I thought about this guitar was the back resonance. Trevor likes to use these live backs, right? So they're you know, we saw a picture earlier, and we can see it again later, but they're radially braced, because, and it's just got the one brace along the whole lower bout, and then in order to make sure that the back is sort of one coherent vibrating plate, you know, he's got these radial braces that he puts in. And for this particular guitar, I was trying to like go as thin as I could, so I made the radial braces really thin and really low, and you know, really, what is the word? Really short, really thin and really short. And it's really interesting. It ended up kind of breaking up that whole plate in a way that made it really difficult to figure out what really was going on with the back frequency. And as it happens, as I kind of kept thinking about it, I think Trevor mentioned something about that, is that you don't want to go too thin or too sparse on those radial braces, or you will get kind of a cluttered mess in that back response. But I only remembered that after I had done it already and had tapped the back. I'm like, oh, that's right. I find it happens to me all the time. I think about things that Robbie said in our week together in the class after the fact, after I've made the mistake, and I was like, oh, I think Robbie mentioned that. Oh, yeah.
Happened to a friend of mine once.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So.
But did you tap the back separately?
What's that?
Did you tap the back separately to see if you could find a frequency?
Yeah, and it was, you know, there were like 3 really strong peaks. And so I don't know which one of them is the real. I mean, I finished this guitar and sent this right off to Jared pretty much. So I may go in there and kind of shave down that back brace, which should lower the frequency a little bit, and maybe I'll be able to figure out where it is exactly.
So this is the chart, if you're interested, of all of them.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you can really see on this. You can see like the main peaks for sure. So this is all 3 guitars overlaid. What you want to see in a falcate brace guitar is these nice, tall, sharp peaks, especially the first 3. You know, the which are the air resonance and the top resonance and the back resonance. But you want to see all throughout the guitar, even, you know, as they're going up into the higher frequencies, nice defined peaks, you know, because that's going to be giving you really interesting harmonics and interesting overtones that are going on, you know, in the guitar. What you'll often see, like in a X-brace guitar, is some strong peaks in the beginning, and then you kind of trail off more or less as you get into the higher frequencies. With a falcate brace guitar, you want to see lots of high peaks, and I think for the most part, I've succeeded here.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like the market after the past couple of months.
I'm moving on. All right.
The drawing, the lines for the oak seem to have higher peaks than everybody else.
Yeah.
At least part of that may have been the way I recorded it, but yeah, that could be, sure.
Is it the most interesting sounding one?
I really like the mahogany the most. The oak one is nice, but the mahogany one feels like it has a little bit more going on.
Elaine, just a quick heads up. It's been exactly 60 minutes. And I think he said we were going to try and keep these an hour or less. So just food for thought there, because if not, we could go on for days.
Right.
Well, I think if it's just us talking to people listening, it might be different. With all of us talking, it's been kind of fun. So we'll go on maybe another 15 minutes or so. And
all right.
And we can run through these pretty quick. There's nothing super exciting that we haven't talked about. But I use solid linings. These were solid cedar linings that I laminated.
So, Chris, I have a stash of poplar. It's the state tree of Tennessee, and I make my solid linings out of poplar. Any difference in cedar or poplar? They're both light and bend easy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the main thing you want to do is create a real rigid boundary to reflect sound, vibrations back into the top.
By the time you laminate 3 of them together, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I do the GORE-STYLE bolt-on, bolt-off neck. You can see where the tenon fits in there. Right now, there's a bar attached to the neck for finishing, but you can kind of see how that all fits together. So the fretboard isn't glued onto the top; it's just bolted in.
Yep. Let's talk about
the radially brazed live back. So, and the point of that is for Trevor wants that to vibrate also and to contribute to the sound of the guitar instead of just being a reflector.
You put side weights on both sides?
I do, yeah. If I need to shift it quite a bit, I will divide it up and do both sides. If it's not very much, if it's only like 35 or 50 grams or something like that, then I'll just put it on the bottom one.
What's the most you've ever put in a guitar?
I think I've done some pretty heavy ones, especially early on when I was like kind of wildly off. I think I've done 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is the falcate bracing. And again, it's just for lightness and stiffness. Trevor also thinks that epoxy has no cold creep, so you'll avoid long term some of the bowing that you get at the bridge on guitars that have used wood glue or fish glue or something like that moves over time. With the carbon fiber and the epoxy, that should never happen with these guitars.
So, Chris, there was a question on the forum in the last, few months about how to bend these braces. Somebody had a question about that. How do you get those things bent?
Well, if you go to the next slide.
Thank you.
So, so they are laminated. So there's three strips, and I will heat bend the spruce first to get it to kind of the rough shape. And then in the lower right-hand corner, I have a couple of forms there that I squeeze those between. I put epoxy on all sides, and then I squeeze them and clamp them up really tightly and leave them overnight. I've got some tape there so that they don't adhere to the forms. Trevor does it differently. He will do it in either like he's even done it where he puts some nails into a board and does it between those, or he uses like a strap clamp. I tried the strap clamp, was not able to get that to work. So this works for me. I just have a couple of different forms that I clamp those into. And then, if you do it wide enough so that then you can saw it on the bandsaw and just, flip it apart. And then you have 2 sets of matching braces for each side.
Oh, yeah, that helps. All right.
And that's it. And yeah, just, thank you all for, Robbie for hosting and Elaine for the idea and everybody in the forum I really have learned a ton from you guys over the years here, and it's really improved my guitar making, such as it is.
So, Chris, what's next for you when you look toward the future with your guitars? What gets you all excited?
Well, I've only got the one prototype of the OM model, so I want to make a few of those, and I want to try to get them out to people to play them, and to hopefully people like the guitars, and I can start to sell some of them around here.
Other questions?
I have one quick question, or maybe a statement. One of the things that Michael Bashkin said is the same thing that you said. It's hard to tell how good the guitar is by looking at the graphs, but it may be worthwhile to find guys like Bashkin, play some of his guitars, and do graphs of them, of the ones you like, and that may be a nice way to use the graphs to try to find the sound that you like.
Yeah, and that's what Trevor did in the first place. So he went around and just got as many great guitars as he could find, and tapped them all in like optimal recording conditions, and was like, okay, this guitar I really love. What's going on with this guitar? So yeah, Trevor's done some of that work up front. So, which is nice to be able to use that kind of the depth of knowledge, for somebody like me who is really just a beginner in the cosmic scheme of luthery, right? Robbie, how long have you been building guitars?
A little more than 20 years now.
Yeah, so I've got a long ways to go, but this is kind of a little bit of a handicap for me, to be able to hit those targets, and to be able to kind of analyze what sound I like, and how I can find it in different guitars.
Well, you built great guitars, so look good, sound good, and I should be proud of them.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll all have amnesia by the time it gets my turn to do this.
Steve, I have to tell you, this is great, but my real dream was that people just, if they didn't play themselves, found somebody's pretty good and set up a video camera and made a video we could see. And I got inspired by the fellow that's doing the next one, Doug Murphy, when he had built a guitar to Robbie's chorus, and it looked like he was in his home office or something and just played a song, and it was great. And I thought, man, I'd like to talk to him about that. So don't be intimidated. And you got time now too. So
Steve, if you can't find somebody up your way to play one of your guitars, bring one of those classicals down here. I'll see if I can bang out a few notes on it.
Yeah, you guys all build nicer guitars than I build, so I had to cheat a little bit and get some ringers in to take photos and to play it. So,
Chris, how'd you get such good photographs made of your guitars?
So I found a guy that was a professional photographer, and partly because of COVID, the restrictions, he didn't have a ton of work right now, and he was able, and he came and picked up the guitars, and 3 days later he brought the guitars back, and with those great photos.
Oh, they are great.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
It sounds like you're well on your way, Chris. If you're interested in selling your guitars, I think you're on your way.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm kind of at the start of the journey, but at least I'm at the start now. So.
Well, tune into Drew Boyd's marketing live Q&A on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll pick up some tricks. You really will.
Yeah.
He knows a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Well, Elaine, we better go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you, everybody, for participating. I really didn't know what to expect this first one. If we'd have 2 people or 200, I had no idea. But
well, next time you'll probably have closer to 200, I'll bet.
Well, we'll see. I'm gonna try and edit this footage. I'll put it up on the chat group, and let people rewatch it and replay it, and we'll see where it goes.
Actually, it was really nice. It's a nice intimate setting. Got to know y'all a little bit from all the emailing. So thank you both, Elaine, Robbie, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Elaine, for the idea and making it happen. This is great.
Yeah.
Well,
and when's our next one, Elaine?
I think it is January the 11th. It's Doug Murphy.
Okay.
If Chris didn't scare him off, which I hope not, I think that'll be a fun one because he's a beginner, and I'm sure we'll all remember lots of beginner things watching that.
Good
So
deal.
there we go. All right.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Take care and good evening.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It was great.
Bye.
Bye.